It was a turbulent time, the 1960s. Integration, the Vietnam War, the women's movement, and the first statewide teacher strike in the nation. Jim Geiger was a local president at the time and remembers the activist spirit that led Florida teachers to take action.
The teachers here were very militant. One of the big events was a rally of teachers at the start of school in the 1967-68 school year. And so they asked the teachers to come from around the state to what was, it's now called the Citrus Bowl in Orlando, was at that time called the Tangerine Bowl. And they didn't know if anybody was going to come or not. Well, as it turned out, the cars came and the buses came. Not only did they fill up the entire stadium, they filled up the entire infield of the stadium as well. And more than half of all the teachers in the state came into Orlando, took that day off, came there for that rally. Just think if that happened today.
FEA President Andy Ford is committed to capturing FEA's legacy. He's been working with Geiger on a project to record the events of what they call the new FEA.
Which really started back in the 60s when we merged between the Black and White Teachers Union, when we had the 68 walkout where teachers actually sacrificed their professional careers for us so that we would have a better life.
In 2006, President Ford added a new recognition event to the FEA Delegate Assembly.
They brought us to where we are today, and we owe everything that we take for granted today to them.
The union provided an opportunity for these leaders to reflect on their personal commitment to change.
I taught in a naval air barracks. I had no air conditioning and no heating. I had no windows on one side of my room. They had been broken out the year before. I taught, at that time, I got a job teaching math, so I taught algebra without any textbooks. So conditions in some parts of the state were in terrible, terrible shape.
Brown decision never reached my school, and I remember my books with 6 names in it.
You may technically refer to 68 as a defeat. I think in the long run, it was the building of leadership that you can't even put a price tag on.
After 1968, nobody in the state of Florida could go to bed at night thinking that the teachers would not act.
And we all submitted our resignations, and we had people that wouldn't give us credit. We had students calling us and telling us to please come back to work.
You cannot imagine the pressure that was applied during that period of time. I mean, there were divorces because a husband would say to his wife, "You're going back to work," and she'd say, "No, I'm not." And they split over that.
Bottom line in that whole deal is the teachers of Florida stood up against the legislature of the state of Florida, and you took the lead, and you did it because it was right.
March 2007, the interest in telling the FEA story grew when more activists gathered to recognize the 35th anniversary of the new direction. A period of leadership change and rebuilding following the strike and the union split into FEA United and FTP NEA.
The fact was, we actually gave, New Directions Group actually gave the 3 large counties a lesson on how to organize and reorganize things. Right. They didn't know what happened. What was happening when New Directions finally came into play at the convention of 1972, and I think they wanted to be a part of this.
We wouldn't have collective bargaining for public employees today were it not for FEA. And so these are very significant events that have happened. We need to study that.
I can remember when I started teaching and we went to lunch, somebody mentioned to me, who was trying to recruit me to join, that the union had to fight for a duty-free lunch. Well, to me that was common sense. I just presumed that that was the way it always was. I didn't know that it took actually going to the bargaining table, fighting for your right to be able to go to the bathroom and to eat lunch away from the children that you were supervising. A lot of things that we take for granted, somebody had to sacrifice for, and I think we really owe the people who made those sacrifices.
One of the leaders instrumental in ushering collective bargaining in Florida and many other advances in public education and unionism is no longer with us. Former UTD President Pat Tornello was a leader through Florida's school integration and the merger of its separate teacher unions, the '68 walkout, and the fight for the Florida retirement system. Tornello has filled many pages in history.
If there are going to be any improvements in education, if there are going to be any improvements in the teaching profession, if there are going to be any improvements in how we educate children, if it's going to happen, you are going to have to make it happen.
Among the leaders contributing to the History Project are former executive directors Richard Batchelder and Dr. Phil Constance. Batchelder was working with the NEA during the strike and later joined FEA under the new direction.
Those people had proven themselves in a very difficult situation, and as a result were stronger. Even though they may have made mistakes, their strength was inspiring, and their willingness to sacrifice personal positions for the benefit of the group were very exciting to watch and to participate with them.
Phil Constance was the man at the union's helm at the time of the '68 walkout. In August 2007, Geiger and former Vice President Bob Lee visited Constance. Together, they relived the walkout and recalled an unforgettable video called "You Are Not Alone." Its powerful words encouraged teachers to go after their impossible dream.
And frightened we are, everyone, but we will take a stand. Coward, take my coward's hand. Take my hand. There, you feel that strength? We're not alone. 50,000 of us, we are not alone. And we will stand together. We will have courage, and we will be what we believe.